It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Good morning. Welcome in. Happy to be with you as always at Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. I'm Jeff Parles. We are 10 days into July. How about that? This year, just moving right along. And speaking of moving right along here today, we got a good show for you. Vegas Matty will join us later in the program. We'll have a special guest host who will introduce during the starting five, which we can start up right now. Here it goes. Number one, let's start in soccer yet again. Second Euro semifinal today in Germany. England, Netherlands. The winner gets Spain, who won an unbelievable first half. Really, the bus was parked the last 60-plus minutes. Spain beat France 2-1. So El Rojo will take on the winner of today's matchup. England plus 170 on the three-way line against the Dutch. Small favorite on the goal line here behind us here at the South Point. Number two, Copa America, second semifinal. Winner will take on Argentina. And the matchup today is Colombia and Uruguay. Uruguay, a small favorite. This was a virtual pick'em last night. Now Uruguay, a small favorite over Colombia on the three-way line, plus 175. Number three, the Dodgers. They got smacked last night by Philly. Trey Turner, grand salami. A huge win for the best record in the National League, leading Phils. 10-1 was the final of that. Dodgers looking to bounce back today with Gavin Stone, but the market is betting Philadelphia. 11-cent move from minus 124 to minus 135 on Christopher Sanchez and the Phils. Total 9.5 on this one as well. Number four, Baltimore sends Corbin Burns to the mound against the Chicago Cubs. Burns, Imanaga, your pitching matchup here in this one. Baltimore, 15-cent move from minus 160 to minus 175 here on this one. Orioles, best record or tied for the best record in the American League. Cleveland, technically percentage points ahead of the O's. And then number five, we bring him in, repping his property up in Summerlin. Of course, he is the race and sportsbook director. You see him here on Fridays. Now you see him in here in studio. Our guy, Duane Colucci.
Thanks for having me on, Jeff. Always a pleasure to join Sports by the Book.
It's great to have you.
The best.
It's great to have you. It's always fun. I was figuring this out. Of course, you were in studio with Alex in the month of May for a show. You and I haven't done a show together in person in a very long time. So I've been looking forward to, as soon as we got this written in pen, all right, we're good to go. This is going to be a lot of fun here today.
Yes, a lot of nostalgia, going back to the old school, without a doubt. I posted that last week on Twitter. It's old school feel with you and Tommy V, and, we're the pioneers of this stuff. So.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of fun for sure. And Duane, you want to dive right in? Let's real quick, I got to ask you the token question that has been the last month.
Right.
Soccer has been unbelievable handle-wise for here at the South Point, and of course, same numbers used up at your shop at the Rampart in Summerlin. Today, again, you get England and the Dutch, two more public teams. Definitely. We saw yesterday, again, Spain and France, public teams. Spain wins 2-1 in regulation. And here you are today, England and the Dutch doing battle today with the winner getting Spain in the final on Sunday.
Yeah, that handle was off the hook for that Spain-France game. We're getting a great market here at the South Point and the Rampart as well. I mean, all week I just have people clamoring for this on the big screen, on the video wall. We have that fabulous 55-foot video wall, and everybody is now into this soccer championship, the Euro and the Copa America. But, definitely when you have teams like England, France, and Spain, you're going to get a ripe market and a lot of handles. So it's been just off the hook and great. And it's good to see because, Jeff, all we have as bookmakers at this time of the year is baseball. And that's a very sharp betting orientated sport where most of the sharps line up early in the morning. They're there at the crack of dawn ready to pound those opening numbers. So when you do have a little WNBA and soccer handle, it offsets everything, and it's good for us as sportsbook directors and managers.
We'll say this, WNBA today, I don't have any plays, but today's a weird slate where we have Connecticut and New York, two of the three best teams in the league, started at 8 a.m. Pacific time. By the way, New York leads by 1 at halftime. They close 2.5-point favorites. Atlanta, Chicago is about to start in less than 5 minutes. and the Fever with Caitlin Clark and company are already underway.
Right.
So this is a very weird. Hey,
Early demographic.
Yeah. Look, a lot of your clientele is up early in the morning betting the horses from dawn until dusk and beyond dusk. Let's be real. So again, all these games, WNBA, all these games are day games technically wherever they are.
Right.
The Aces play the Storm. That's a noon Pacific tip. Mercury play the Wings. That's a 12:30 local time.
All
in
the
Phoenix.
best teams too. If you notice, you got Chicago involved, you got Caton involved, and you have the two juggernauts that started the day off. And I believe this is a revenge game for New York if they could complete it. But, Connecticut and New York have been at the top. Minnesota as well. Excuse me. That was Minnesota who beat New York to finish off that in-season tournament that's similar to what the NBA has. And the WNBA is doing a lot of good things, Jeff. I'll be honest with you. Chris does fabulous things. We're putting up propositions on Caitlin every game she plays. And she is just a major attraction that has brought this sport onto the map and definitely helps us as bookmakers. And the handle is just triple to quadruple of what it was in prior years.
It's interesting here, Duane, as well. And we've talked about this with the women's tournament when you guys were booking the women's tournament. Forget past tournaments.
Right.
They just shattered every record, highest handle women's game, just basically every round involving Iowa.
It was great.
From the Elite Eight to the Final Four to the national championship. And it's good to see. And we've talked about this where in the past, WNBA was a strong sharp bettors market.
Correct.
Strong.
Yes.
Now, still a strong sharp bettors market, but you're starting to see more casual bettors hop in, so it makes it a little bit different. And we see it basically on a daily basis where that total gets banged up at least 2-3 points in every single game. Because
every game. Everybody has an opinion. And also the Aces, we were lucky, Jeff, because the Aces brought a lot of attention. So you did get some of the regular, average consumer money as well as the sharp money. But now it's full circle, like you said. And getting back to the tournament when you had South Carolina, LSU, and, Caitlin and Iowa, it's just amazing. We were able to book tremendous action there, and we took round by round. It was very exciting. You have to watch those numbers, like you said, though, Jeff. You could get pounded if you fall asleep, and Chris never does. So him and his team do a fabulous job. We all work together in cohesion, and we keep our eye on those numbers.
Yeah, again, those totals. It feels like every single day when Alex and I come in, it's like, oh, this was 163 last night. Now it's 167.5. It just feels like every single day.
Yes.
These totals are getting bet over. By the way, of the two games that haven't started, Aces 4.5-point road favorites in Seattle this afternoon against the Storm, 172.5. The total, actually a rare total that's been bet under today, even though it's coming back up the ladder, went from 173.5 to 171, now back up the ladder to 172. And then the Mercury and the Wings. How about this? Two games actually getting bet to the under, 173.5 to 173, and then the Mercury, I should say, 7.5-point favorites against a bottom feeder in the Wings this year. Let's shift gears here. Let's go to baseball. Just as of now, we're less than a week from the All-Star game. Week is the next Tuesday. You have the All-Star game, Monday, Home Run Derby, which is always a fun event. More rule changes
for you, the Met fan.
Well, you know what? It was nice to win money on the Mets for once in 2019 and 2021, Duane, with Alonso winning that. I haven't seen many odds because when the field gets set, we'll start seeing the odds. I'm very curious, and I know on Saturday we'll know the field, and I know by then we'll be able to really break that down more. But just for you, what are some takeaways from watching this first half of the season? We knew the Dodgers were going to be good. They are excellent. The Phillies are the elite team out of the National League East. The American League, we thought Baltimore could be really good. They are the best team in that league. And you have some surprises at the top of the AL Central and the AL West in Seattle and Cleveland, respectively there.
Yeah, Seattle was a young team, so, I kind of anticipated that they could definitely stir that pot. Everybody thought Texas would return right away, but, you have to watch out for these young and upcoming teams. Houston is playing as well, is playing well as usual, Jeff. You have Altuve. He did get a little banged up now, but, they started off tremendously slow, and then they were able to elevate. Cleveland, they're definitely a huge surprise. And what about these hitters from Oregon State? I mean, whether it's Rutschman, this kid out of Cleveland, it's fabulous to see the college guys that go right into the professional, realm and start to make an impact. Orioles, we knew were going to be there. The Yankees are somewhat of the surprise, but they've reined it in a little now. I didn't think the pitching could have lasted all that long, and it's starting to come back down to earth. But Cole is back. He's healthy. You have Hill, the rookie, who's just been unbelievable. Aaron Judge is just the best player in baseball, and I no shade to Ohtani. I'm a Dodger guy, but, I mean, Aaron Judge is just a phenomenal hitter, and this guy could really do it all. Tremendous talent. And the Yankees are doing it with a lot of injuries, definitely. You see Torres is hurt, Rizzo is hurt, Stanton is hurt, but yet they are still able to keep pace after a very, very rough month. Now, in the National League, you knew the Dodgers were going to be tremendous, but they have a lot of injury problems now. You have Mookie that's hurt. That's huge. Mookie was the front runner, at the time of the injury, in my opinion, for possibly the NL MVP. Plus, you have those pitching problems. Now, I think Glass now went on the injured list. So the Dodgers, they have phenomenal talent. They pay for it. They're going to be right there just because their division is not that good. Your Mets, definitely a surprise.
In the race still somehow.
Yeah, but they were off to a tremendously slow start. And now, when you see that game the other day where Chapman started to implode and you're forced to pitch to Lindor is going to crush you if possible. So the Mets have a lot, going for them if they could get some good pitching, and Alonso needs to hit. That's the whole thing. Pete is like been, but if this guy could start to tremendously hit, they are going to be a factor in the wild card. Phillies are amazing. The Acuna injury hurt Atlanta. Don't kid yourself. Atlanta's a great team as well. They know how to win games. They're well managed. So it's going to be interesting that this year we don't have that tremendous standout on either side of, the American League or the National League. Naturally, the Dodgers are the shoe-in, but outside of that, the Phillies, if they can maintain, they as well. But it's been a tough season.
No, it's right now the Phillies are the only team with a run differential of positive 100 or more, and there are a lot of teams that are close to that.
Right
Yankees,
there, yeah.
Yankees went below that with a loss last night. Baltimore's plus 190, plus 99, not 199, but 99.
Dodgers are up there.
Guardians are plus 97, and LA's plus 95. So there are a lot of high-end teams. Cleveland's still, to me, far and away the biggest shocker of anything. I thought they were, all right, maybe they'll finish second in the division because it's a weaker division. I actually picked them to finish third.
Wow.
Because I actually took a shot in the dark with Kansas City. Looked good for about good for about 7 weeks.
Right.
It's fallen off a little bit. I thought Minnesota.
Another Met, Seth Lugo.
yeah, Seth Lugo has been great, which is totally asinine. But the race in the American League. The race in the American League is a stronger race. By the way, Boston, who we didn't think anything of, a win total of barely 80, and some books even had 79.5, 78.5 for Boston this year. Boston's 10 games over 500
right
now.
And they're only a few games behind the Yankees.
Yeah,
now,
they're only 3.5 behind the Yankees for the top wild card. So there's a lot of interesting things to look through for the second half once we get to it next week. Of course, next week is always the fun week in baseball betting or anything betting because next week will be the last week of the WNBA before they go on hiatus for the Olympics. NBA Summer League is around, but
yeah,
I'm not going to give you good handicaps.
Saratoga.
I can tell you that.
You know me.
Yeah, well, I know you're going to Saratoga.
Opening day, Thursday.
I know Ralph's going to Saratoga as well. But yeah, well, and then we're less than a month away from the whole city of Las Vegas being a Del Mar. So
yeah, exactly.
So that was a fun time. All right, let's get into today. Let's get into today's action, Duane. Phillies and Dodgers. Let's start there. So the Phillies just destroyed the Dodgers last night. 10-1, Trey Turner grand slam really put the cap on the beatdown. They sent Christopher Sanchez to the mound today, the Phils do against Gavin Stone. So, Duane, bettors at Bet Philadelphia for minus 125 to minus 135.
Right.
Total's been bet up as well. And again, we've talked about this in this part of the year. Weather is warm everywhere. We know Philadelphia's a great hitter's park, always has been. And we're looking at winds blowing out again today for this one with the Phils and the Dodgers, Duane.
Yeah, I don't think the Phils need a lot of help with the wind blowing out after last night. They got off to a tremendous start. Stone has been very good for the Dodgers. We've seen that. The last game he got roughed up, but these guys, you can't stay consistent and win every single game when you're, up and coming in the major leagues and at the major league level. I think the Dodgers will bounce back. They'll play definitely better tonight, but it's been a Phillies market. I mean, Jeff, I preach this day in and day out. You look at these parlays, and every single day you have the Phillies on the parlays, which definitely hurts us. You do have the Dodgers when they're not playing the Phillies, but now this is a unique matchup, similar to when the Yankees play the Red Sox or Baltimore. Usually the Yankees are on all the parlays, especially when they're riding high. And they're riding these streak teams, Cleveland, the Dodgers, the Phillies. We say this time and time again, minus 135 at the Rampart in South Point. We have that 10-cent straddle that is just phenomenal. Chris has been doing it for years now. You're seeing a lot of books copy this model now to try and garner some of the market, but Chris started it right off, Jeff, so I want to give credit where credit is due. Over 9.5 is shaded at minus 120 today. Naturally, you saw all those runs last night. I think the Dodger bats will come alive today. It's going to be a tighter game. I would even look at the under. I would think that the kid could bounce back with a solid start despite the wind blowing out.
For the Dodgers, you mentioned this. I am concerned injury-wise. Now, they have more than enough to make up for it. It's still, again, Ohtani, the worst, second-best player in baseball, at worst. Still think even though Judge is having a season, still would take Ohtani. Will Smith, all-star season so far.
Right.
Dodger bullpen has been mostly good for the most part this year. They're going to make some moves at the deadline. It's just a matter of how big of a splash they end up making. Of course, I didn't even mention Freddie Freeman, who's Mr. Consistent at this rate over his entire career. Almost forgotten because of the stars of Ohtani and Betts at the top of that lineup. I don't have a play on this game. I think everything's about where it should be now. Phillies at home with the better pitcher should be favored. Total, I was surprised it came 9 at the open, but the market has put it into place here. Maybe even you see 10 with the way the wind is whipping there in Philadelphia here this afternoon, early evening for that one. I don't have a play on this game, but I want to bring this up because of the historic start that's going on for one of the Reds prospects. Cincinnati's a minus 175 favorite against Colorado. It's Montas and Freeland. Kyle Freeland stinks. We know that. Montas is coming off a reasonable start in the Bronx against his former team, the Yankees. I will say that total at 9, even though it's minus 125. I know you guys don't want to go to 9.5 for obvious reasons here, Duane.
Hate those middles.
Yeah, you don't want to. I wouldn't mind over 9, but again, how tolerant are you of betting a minus 125 on a total? That's up to your own discretion out there. So I bring this up here. OptiStats, who I know is we use a lot on punchlines, tweeted this last night, Duane.
Okay.
I'm about to name a lot of good players here. Dave Winfield, Carlos Delgado, Tony Perez, Fred McGriff, Paul Molitor, Mickey Mantle, and Harmon Killebrew combined for 6,780 extra base hits in their major league careers.
That's amazing.
It's a lot of great players.
A lot of
Hall of Famers and a bunch of Hall of Very Goods in there. None of them have ever had 5 extra base hits over a 2-game span. Reese Hines, who just came up from AAA, Louisville, now on the Reds, they're playing behind the plate, has done it in his first 2 career games. Which is pretty amazing.
What's tremendous, though, about the Reds? You see all these up-and-coming rookies year in and year out, and they're producing all these records, and yet you're talking about 2 teams that got 76 wins combined in this matchup today. So, the Reds, they got to look at themselves in the mirror. They got to be more competitive. Maybe it's the pitching, but they have some phenomenal young talent. And you see this year in and year out. And, you saw they were able to whip up on the Yankees about a week ago, when they play their game, but they need some consistency. And that's a phenomenal stat, Jeff.
I think it's one year more for Cincinnati. Okay. I think next year's the year. All right.
You sound like a Montreal Canadian fan. Yeah, and I fight with these guys.
Hold on a second. I would say every fan in Canada for hockey at this point. One more year, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But Toronto's been saying that since the 60s,
exactly.
Right? By the way, I'll ask you this real quick, just to steal a Frankie Fungo here real quick. Of those 7 guys I mentioned, Winfield, Delgado, Tony Perez, McGriff, Molitor, Mantle, Killebrew, who do you think had the most extra base hits in their career? I would have gotten this
I would
wrong.
probably have said Magliulo because he played so many years.
It was Dave Winfield.
Wow.
Dave
Winfield, though, had the longevity as well.
Winfield is the only one who actually had over 1,000 extra base hits of that crew.
That's amazing.
And Carlos Delgado, who I think should be in the Hall of Fame,
Definitely.
nearly 500 home runs.
Right.
Just one of the best first basemen in baseball for over a decade. He's second on this list.
Wow.
So, again, Winfield, Hall of Famer, Perez, Hall of Famer, McGriff, Hall of Famer, Molitor, all of them but Delgado, actually, Hall of Famers.
Yes.
So, what a list. And Resigns joining, doing something.
Man,
No, I mean, man,
I know he had the leg injury, so he didn't have all those extra base hits. He was a home run guy. And you're talking about a guy with over 500 homers and didn't have 1,000 extra base hits.
It's pretty incredible, all things considered. All right, let's keep this rolling here, Duane. Let's go to the Mets and the Nationals. Severino and Corbin. I know bettors love betting against Patrick Corbin. The Mets, by the way, best price in the market on the Mets here behind us and up at your shop at the Rampart. Minus 180 on New York. The Mets bullpen stinks, Duane. Over the last 3 weeks, and after last night's performance where they almost blew a 7-run lead last night, the Mets bullpen now ERA is approaching 9.
Oh, God.
Over the last 3 weeks. And here they are still game and a half out of the third wild card after the Padres get beat last night by Seattle. It's just so hard at this point to look at Met games and be like, hey, I can take a full game under because the Mets still are leading the National League in runs over the last month.
Right.
And their bullpen is an abomination.
Terrible. Right.
So if you're looking to bet unders in Mets games, you can only go first 5 at this point. So you can avoid that mess of a bullpen, which Severino, for all things considered, has been the Mets' most consistent starting pitcher this year.
Yeah, Severino, he was pretty consistent with the Yanks. He had some...
As long as he stayed healthy.
Right, exactly. He had some ups and downs so far in his career. But, Diaz even had to resort to somewhat cheating. So, that bullpen is inflated over the last 3 weeks because he was suspended for 10 games. Keep that in mind. Yet they still are not finding themselves. They open up big leads. They have a tremendous lineup. This is where the management has to really focus and look. If they have, a sense that they're going to be a contender, you have to go out and get some middle relief and bullpen help to support this young staff and these guys that can only go 6 or 7 innings. This isn't the old days where you had the Mets had all these workhorses, Gooden, Ojeda, Sid Fernandez. These guys could go 8, 9 innings. Now you have a younger staff. They have a great lineup. They're starting to really gel after that team meeting, Jeff. They had a team meeting, a closed-door team meeting, and I think they went on a tear, 120 out of 25 games. So,
yeah, it was that weekend against the week against the Dodgers where they got swept in New York, and then team meeting happened after that. They won 2 against the Diamondbacks, and then lost 2 in just idiotic fashion because of the bullpen. And then after that, Grimace showed up, and the rest was history.
The rest is history. So,
but again, the Mets game and a half out, still in this thing. I would imagine they're going to be buyers at the deadline, assuming again these next 5 games. Played 2 more against Washington and 3 against Colorado. As mentioned, 2 of the 4 worst teams in the National League that they have. So an opportunity to even
get 4 wins out of these 5.
Get 4 out of 5. San Diego continues a series with Seattle and then welcomes Atlanta in. I mean, he could
they're
be
not
looking
consistent
at it.
either.
He's looking. We'll get to the Padres. Don't you worry, Duane. Let's go to Pittsburgh and Milwaukee here. Brewers have been one of the more pleasant surprises so far in baseball this year. Built up a nice lead in the National League Central Division, currently 53 and 39, I should say, leading the NL Central by 4 games as St. Louis has tightened things, playing a lot better baseball there in Middle America. 8.5 here for the Brew Crew today on the total. Brewers minus 150 with Myers against Martin Perez of the Buccos. Again, we know incredible young talent, and I will ask you this, even though it's not a Skeens day, tomorrow will be.
Yes.
How has him pitching impacted the handle on those games when he has gone individually, or do you not notice that large of a difference?
Well, you're definitely seeing the first 5 is where it comes into play. They're betting it under. They're betting the Pirates in the first 5 because they know that this kid starts. I mean, he is just a phenomenal young talent.
Amazing.
And it was funny, my cousin, who's a writer now with us, I was telling him, he was a baseball player in his young career. And, I just told him, I said, look at this guy's thighs. his thighs are the size of my waist, and I have like a 35, 36 waist. So it all comes from the legs. And I always tell him, Mason, your legs are a little too skinny. You should have worked on that leg. Maybe if you dated Livy Dunn, she would have taught you with that gymnastic background. But you're seeing an immense handle with this guy, and it's definitely good to see. Brewers are 4-6 in their last 10, so that's why St. Louis is starting to get back into the race. Mm-hmm. St. Louis was able to feast. Goldschmidt was really hitting the ball in this past series, hit a tremendous homer the other day. And, St. Louis is always there. They're very consistent. They're a proud franchise. So Milwaukee has to, they have to be consistent. Yelich has been fabulous. We know that. He's really turned back into the Christian Yelich of a few years back. And Milwaukee is definitely one of the teams that are a pleasant surprise. They built a nice lead in that Central, and they're good enough to maintain. But, Skeens has definitely put Pittsburgh on the map once again. I'm sure Chris is happy. He loves it. Jimmy, those guys are from those neck of the woods, and they like that when Pittsburgh competes.
Well, some guy named Frank Nicotero, also from Pittsburgh as well.
That's right. Frank.
Just some guy named Frank
just
Nicotero.
Some guy.
But I will say this, Skeen, not a sports betting thing real quick. Paul Skeen should start the All-Star game for the National League. And
definitely.
I know Ranger Suarez has been great. I know Zach Wheeler's been great. But the whole point of the All-Star game is to build an audience and get viewers in.
Right.
And quite frankly, for his first 10 starts, Paul Skeens, to me, is already a top 5 pitcher in baseball at the moment.
Yeah, he's got to stay healthy.
Of course.
We've seen it with Terry Wood. We've seen it with those guys. Tremendous, phenomenal talent.
Absolutely. And that's always the scare with starting pitchers, especially in this day and age where it seems like everyone gets a Tommy John surgery at some point. But he should start the game for the National League. If the point of the All-Star game is growing the audience, having your young stars shine,
introducing
your young stars, exactly. I think he should start the All-Star game in the National League. That's my only passionate All-Star take at this point, Duane, and probably will be my only passionate All-Star take over the next.
Outside of the home run, Derek.
Yeah, well, home run. Don't worry. Now we'll have a full we'll have a full handicap on Friday and Saturday on the show. I already know that. Let's go to the Diamondbacks and the Braves here. Charlie Morton against Ciccone here for the D-backs. It looked like Arizona had kind of turned the corner back around. They blew that game 2 nights ago. Seawald had 3 straight blown saves, capped off with that. Then the Braves win yesterday 6-2. Really gut punch of a loss on it under 7.5. Would have looked like us trying to get there at the end. Minus 110 on the dime line here on Atlanta. Best number you can find anywhere on Arizona at even money. 9 here to total. I don't have any thoughts on this game, but you mentioned it with Atlanta. Atlanta just trying to hang in there without Acuna and without their best pitcher, Spencer Strider here, but still in command of that 4 seed and top wild card in the NL.
I was just going to say, Jeff, they're doing a better job than Arizona of hanging tough. Arizona, it looked like they turned the corner, but like you said, now it doesn't. And this is what keeps the Dodgers on top in that division. You have so much inconsistency when you're talking about Arizona, San Diego, and San Francisco. But you get back to it, definitely Atlanta. They're going to get in the wild card. They're so well managed, and they're playing, like you said, without their 2 best players. Yep. Yet look at the market. We're getting pounded with Arizona money today. I think we opened this game at 125, the Braves were, and now it's down to 110, even money on the Diamondbacks. I have no opinion on this game as well. I think that Arizona can get back into the mix. They need a win. They need to start winning right before the All-Star break. They need to, stay close to San Diego, stay close to all these teams that are in that wild card hunt, and there's a ton of teams that are in that hunt. So definitely Arizona can be a contender, but they have to be a little more consistent. Getting plied with Arizona money today at the Rampart and South Point. Total, I believe, is 9. So, I really don't have an opinion there either. Like you said, that was a tough game to handicap last night.
9 on the total. Again, a whole run and a half difference due to the quality in starting pitching going down yesterday. Gallen and
That's what
Sale.
It's all about.
Of course, the good pitching matchup last night. Let's go to Tampa, technically St. Pete. The Rays put up 4 in the first. That's enough. They won 5-3 against the Yankees yesterday. Carlos Rodon stinks. That's my take from last night, and I'm a little frustrated with myself that I didn't take a yes in the first inning, which was plus money in that game, or a Rodon over earned runs prop. Yeah, taking the Rays first 5. There are plenty of ways to take Tampa yesterday. Today, Eflin goes for Tampa. They're favored at home against Stroh. who goes for the Yankees, plus 110. Stroman coming off a bad outing. 8 the total. Duane, we talked about in the open, the Yankees at this rate, it's so weird to say with them still, like, they're only 2 games behind Baltimore for the best record in the American League. They are in desperate need of a gigantic shakeup. Since June 17th, they are 12 games under 500 with the worst record in baseball by a solid 3 games.
Right.
The White Sox are playing baseball still, Duane.
That's unbelievable.
So
worst team maybe ever.
Yeah. So you're in a scenario here where this pitching matchup is even.
Right.
Which to me indicates, hey, if I'm getting this price on a dime line with the Yankees, even with how bad they've been, that should be a fire on it. But but the way they have played it is so hard to justify taking even a good price on them. And
Stroman following a loss, is pretty solid. So you're going to see some Yankee backers today, but they're limping into the All-Star break. Like you said, they're relying on a rookie to hit 3 homers the other day. Lucky that they beat the Red Sox in any of those games. Devers was really whipping on them. I mean, he owns them. And when you're letting the Red Sox, your arch rival, beat you and get back into the race, now you got to start scratching your head. But time and time again, Jeff, who do we point to? It's this Aaron Boone. I mean, can he motivate? Is he the right manager for this team year in and year out, guys? Let's answer this question. I mean, if they don't make the playoffs, if they, God forbid,
if they miss the playoffs, he's gone.
I mean, this guy, he should have been gone. They said that the last 2 years. He does not motivate. He does get thrown out of games, and he's wild on umpires, but he's got to really start to motivate this team. They have massive injuries right now. You have a solid pitching staff. Let's get it rectified at the All-Star break. Let's come out firing. They're probably going to lose a few games heading into the break, I'll be honest with you. But today, I think it is a solid opportunity to bet on the Yankees. And, you're seeing the market just pound the Rays because it's been the trend. And everybody's betting trends with baseball. They're still 3-7 in their last 10, the Yankees, and they're playing a team that has relatively a lot of success over the past couple of years against them. So, it's definitely going to be tough. Aaron Boone has to figure this out. They have to get healthy. Hopefully Stanton will come back. I'm not sure what's going on with Gleibar and those other guys, but he mixed up the lineup last week. You saw he definitely had to. You got that catching platoon, which isn't really working out. A lot of problems there. And, the middle relief has been suspect at times. Let's see how they rectify this. I would probably take the Yankees on a flyer today, but how do you bet on this team with confidence?
You and I are in the same boat.
Right.
The price says bet New York today.
Yeah.
But if I bet it, I'm going to bet it probably only 0.7 of a unit. I'm not going to put a full unit on it just because this Yankee team right now is an abject disaster.
Yes.
Right now. Yes, it is. That's a great way to put it. Let's hit a few more here before we shift gears here. Corbin Burns, who I think should be the Cy Young favorite right now. Tariq Skubal at betting markets that are available for it is the betting favorite. The Orioles are minus 175 favorites here today against the Cubs. Shota Imanaga, who was before Paul Skeens came into the majors, was, hey, this guy's going to win the NL Rookie of the Year. Now we know unless Skeens stays healthy, Skeens is going to win that thing. The market's betting Baltimore from minus 160 to minus 175 here. Duane, I think if you got in at minus 160 on the O's, job well done. Great price, good job. That was good. I can't justify laying more than that.
Right.
Total at 9. Again, kind of the same weather pattern as Philadelphia. Extremely hot. Just about an hour and a half south of Philly there in Baltimore. Wind's not as crazy, but total of 9 here does indicate that they do expect some wind to get into the ballpark by the time this game starts, with these pitchers showing a 9 in that park that we know has turned into a cavernous place after not being the case for its first 20-plus years of existence.
Exactly. But now, Jeff, you see, it's up a full run. We opened it at 8. You're going to see. I like Orioles at over in this situation. I think the poor kid is getting overpitched.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They showed this with Iguodala. They showed a stat the other day, and they were showing the young rookie pitchers and the days in between and the rest. And this guy never gets more than 4 days rest in between. So don't wear his arm out, especially, the Cubs are another team that have had a lot of injuries. You're playing the juggernaut Orioles now on the road. They've had their troubles, the Cubs. I like Orioles and over in this position. We're seeing a lot of money on the over at the Rampart and South Point, just like I told you. We're seeing it pounded, guys. guys. It was 8, now it's 9. When you see a full run of difference and a full run move up, you know that we're taking action. We don't move games on air here in Las Vegas, especially at the South Point and the Rampart. So, yeah, I like Orioles and over. I think the kid's getting a little overpitched.
The wind, I just saw the updated wind report. Yeah, it's more intense than Philadelphia. It makes sense that them numbers been popped up
right
there in Baltimore. All right, let's hit 2 more baseball games here, Duane. Let's go to San Diego. Michael King goes for the Padres against Bryce Miller of the Mariners. Minus 138 now, which is the best price available on San Diego anywhere. And the good thing about a dime line here is you still get a really good price on the Mariners. Only one book with a better price on the Mariners out there right now. 7.5, the total here, Duane. San Diego, when Tatis got hurt, there was a thought in my mind that, hey, this team might go in the tank here because they're going to struggle for offense. Machado was not hitting for power. Other than Profar, their lineup had struggled. Profar starting the All-Star game for the first time in his career has kept it up. Machado has started hitting for power.
Right.
And as I've mentioned to Alex a few times, Jackson Merrill, if it wasn't, again, for Paul Skeens, Jackson Merrill would, to me, be the guy that I would be looking at for NL Rookie of the Year. He has solely replaced Fernando Tatis Jr.'s production after Fernando Tatis Jr. was having an all-star caliber, all-star starter year.
As always.
Before that. This game I would only, if you can find a bet, it was minus 130 at the opener in the Pods. Good price if you got it. I would not lay more than $1.35 on San Diego. So see if the market comes back at all on this.
Yeah, it's difficult, but you're facing a team that is 20 and 25 on the road, which is Seattle's flaw. Yeah. Seattle is great at home, bad on the road. Like you said, Tatis, it's such a shame. I mean, I'm a Dodger guy, but I love to see a great player swing the bat. And this guy has had tremendous injuries, but he is a phenomenal talent. Like you said, the Padres have been bet up. It opened 130. Now we're at 138. I think it's kind of high. You're playing against the best team in the American League West, and you're only 3 games over 500 in the National League West. But these are games that the Padres have to win if they want to stay in the wild card race. That's why you're seeing a lot of action. Plus, what you touched upon is why you're only seeing 7.5 on the total. You know, you have a phenomenal young pitcher there, and you have some good pitching going in this game. So I think it will be bet back. I think you're going to see a lot of Mariner takers as you get back, closer to the game and the start time of this game. Very difficult game to handicap. I will not be placing a wager on this game, to be honest with you. Too tough to handicap, from my opinion. But at the Rampart and South Point, we're taking tremendous action here on the Padres. 8-cent move so far. We'll see how it levels out.
If you got $1.35 or less,
right.
Good.
Yes.
I wouldn't lay this price. See if the market comes back. This game's going to start around 3:40.
Yeah,
the official
early.
start.
A lot of these 3:40 starts.
Yeah, you know what? We don't think of Wednesday as a getaway day, but when you get a bunch of 2-game series, yeah. There you go. It would have been a getaway day in St. Louis, but they had a rain out. The only reason I didn't bring these games up is because, again, just make sure you're betting the right games. Your starting pitchers, of course, are a little bit different because of the rainouts yesterday in St. Louis.
Yes.
And in Chicago. So just make sure you're on the right game, as always.
With the write-ins,
yeah,
yes.
with
always.
the write-ins.
Pay attention to the numbers. We always say that, and that's why we still provide sheets
of
at
course.
the Rampart and South Point. So you bring up the sheet. My writers will definitely help you. I have the best writing corps in town. You know, you just ask a few questions. They're going to show you, yes, this is the first game. Double-check your ticket. We have the liquid screen that is similar to my iPad that is right in front of you also, where you could see.
Yep.
It will say game 1. It will say game 2. This is so important when you're wagering. And, you know, we are there to help you. Definitely. Us managers, writers, and etc. And we have the baseball sheets each and every day. We have the score sheets as well. So it's just what we try to accommodate, and we're trying and create, handle, and teach anybody that we can that sports betting, you know, you just pay attention, make sure you got what you want, and you'll be a happy consumer.
Duane, you ready to talk some football?
Sure.
Let's go there. Let's go to continue our previews. Yesterday, we did the Atlanta Falcons. Today, there's the football on fire. Look at that. Very nice. NFC South. There you go. Good job, team, as always. Carolina Panthers are up. Duane, they were the worst team in the National Football League a year ago. And a big part of that was the fact that Bryce Young did not look anywhere near the part. I'm being nice. Right. I understand that. He, of course, it made it look worse of how poorly he performed because C.J. Stroud, the pick after him, was the offensive rookie of the year. And now some people consider C.J. Stroud already in year number 2 as a top 5 quarterback in this league. To Carolina's credit, look, with ownership and David Tepper being a little bit temperamental, as we know, they fire Frank Wright midstream. Not a good thing to do with a rookie quarterback.
No.
They bring in Dave Canales, who, look, to his credit last year in Tampa, Baker Mayfield's always been, other than maybe about a year and a half in Cleveland, has been always about a league average quarterback.
Right.
And Baker Mayfield was a legitimate top 12 quarterback in the NFL a year ago.
Played great.
And I think a lot of that is to do with how Canales called the offense. He had past stops in Seattle as well. He was there when Russell Wilson was up there before everything got a little messy up there in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. By the way, Carolina's 10-1 to win the NFC South. The long shot, no shock there. But they had a very, very active offseason. Now, they trade their best defensive player in Brian Burns to the Giants. They get back a lot less in return in that deal than they would have if they dealt them last year to the Rams, where the Rams were willing to offer 2 number one picks for Brian Burns. Hayden Hurst, not a big one. Yetur Gross-Matos, we talked about him last week with San Francisco.
Right.
Really a depth piece. I was not able to fit a lot of players that I would have put in the additions normally here, Duane. Because
Johnson and Clowney.
Because Deontay Johnson comes in right away, even though he's an infuriating player for my book.
Right.
He comes in and is clearly the most talented receiver this team has now. Jadeveon Clowney, maybe in the twilight of his career, still can be an impact pass rusher if used at times. Really, the offensive line was what they changed, and those are the 2 bottom names there. Damian Lewis, Robert Hunt, given a lot of money. Robert Hunt given $100 million for a guard, which you just don't see that type of money
incredible.
Thrown around. They and Yash Nijman from Green Bay. He comes over. He's going to start at tackle. They signed guys I couldn't even mention. Josie Jewell over from Denver, who was a high-impact guy at the linebacker position. Dane Jackson as well. Jordan Fuller in that secondary. So this is a very different-looking team, Duane. But they still have the lowest win total on the board.
Of course.
In the NFC at 5.5. And until we see from Bryce Young, I don't think you can justify seeing a total higher than that on this team.
Yeah, definitely. And how many coaching changes, the Bryce Young decision, the draft, you had the last pick, I think, in the first round. We actually seen them come down a tick. We opened them, I think, at, 200-1, and now they're 150-1 at the Rampart.
Got to grab that value, Duane.
Yeah, I think that's just a donation. I'll be honest with you. I mean, look at the divisional odds. They're in a tough division, and what I will say is the measuring stick is going to be opening week, because you have 2 suspect teams, Carolina and New Orleans. So let's see how this plays out. A somewhat older team with New Orleans. You're counting on Carr still. I don't know why. Carolina, they're definitely going to be finding their way. They have to improve. Last year was so bad. I don't know, though, if Young is the real deal. And like you said, they made the mistake as Stroud came into prominence immediately. I mean, by midseason, you knew this kid was a phenomenal talent. And, you have Bryce Young, 150-1 to win the MVP. He isn't going to win that. I would shop around if you're looking for that. Definitely, I don't think the offseason moves were that significant, as well as the draft, to move the measuring stick. This team is going to be at the bottom of the NFL, basically.
I had them power rated 32. Now, and that's even with all the improvements.
Right.
Where they were way better at offensive line. They were bad on the offensive line.
Terrible. Now they're way better.
Now they're, you know what? Interior-wise, they're quite good now.
Right.
Now, again, Robert Hunt, I don't think any guard is worth a $100 million contract. But Robert Hunt,
the receiving core, like you said.
So
Thielen is
number 2. Thielen is old at this point.
Right.
Deontay Johnson, I always an infuriating player to deal with in Pittsburgh. Right. Xavier Legette, who they traded back into the first round, took him at
34.
At 32.
32.
They took him.
40-1
to win offensive rookie. Now, look, I'm not saying he's going to win it. Again, I've made it pretty clear when going through the divisions that I think Caleb Williams is going to be a star right away and going those short numbers on offensive rookie of the year aren't going to be there by week 4.
I hear you.
So I'm in that camp. But the path for Carolina being better is Bryce Young just had a horrible rookie year,
Right.
has a new coaching staff that is more competent than the previous one, and he naturally progresses.
Canales is the key.
Yeah, and that's the key.
Right.
Can this coaching staff help Bryce Young get his confidence back? Help him play?
Help him matriculate the ball down the field.
Play him at his own strengths too.
Exactly.
They didn't do that at all last year. Get him
Right.
outside the pocket. Let him go. But I can't bet over 5.5 on this team until I see something like that.
But the division is suspect.
You made a good point.
You can get wins, at home if you're efficient.
100%.
And I believe Canales is good enough to improve him when you're talking win total, but still, that is still at the bottom of the NFL.
You made a very good point mixed in a little bit earlier. New Orleans, who some in the market are high on New Orleans. There are some people
made the playoffs
who I respect who are high on New Orleans. I thought the only reason they even had an over 500 or around a 500 record last year was because they had the easiest schedule of all time, basically.
Correct.
And if they were any good at all, they would have won 11, 12 games last year. I think they're also poorly coached. I don't like Dennis Allen.
Yeah, I don't either.
And Carr is Carr at this point. He's a league average to slightly below average starter.
Correct.
If you're Carolina and you're serious about being better, you go to New Orleans and win that game as a 3.5, 4-point underdog week 1.
Right.
You go win that game. And then Chargers week 2, cross-country trip. I don't think it's the same old Chargers because I trust Harbaugh a lot more than anyone who's coached them in the last 2 decades, basically. But look, the schedule early on, there are 3 winnable games. Because even here in Vegas, I don't think is an unwinnable game for them.
Vegas, you could beat Vegas. Vegas is not good.
You get out 2-1, all right, maybe things are a little bit different. I still had him at 5 wins. Right. I had him at 5. I thought that 5.5 was right, Duane.
You have to split those first 4 games, like you said.
Well, if they don't,
you're not going to beat Cincinnati and you're not going to beat the Chargers. I'll be honest with you.
You probably
Herbert is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league, and now you have a new coach. Harbaugh is definitely going to righten that ship right out. Cincinnati, as long as they're healthy, you're not going to beat Joe Burrow. I'm sorry. So we're going to see
as long as he's there. Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
exactly. If he's playing and he's healthy with that offense and that defense, they should be solid. Then you go to the Bears. Bears are definitely going to be a totally different team. You could see that. After that, Falcons, winnable game. Commanders, possibly a winnable game. You don't know. Everybody thinks the Commanders, here we go. They're going to be such a turnaround. They're in a poor division as well. Dallas definitely took a step back. Giants took a step back tremendously without Saquon, and the Eagles are the Eagles. So, those games, those first 6, 7 games will tell the tale if you're going to get that 5.5.
Yeah, and also Denver to me. I have Denver. I know the market doesn't agree with me on this. We'll get to the AFC West maybe even next week.
Right.
I have the Broncos power rated as the worst team in the AFC.
And I had one of my sharpest bettors come in and pound the under the win total on that team.
Yeah.
I think it was like 6.5.
Yeah, so it's a lower win total. New England has a lower win total in the AFC. I don't think the Patriots are as bad as Denver. I think Denver's quarterback situation, even with a potential Hall of Fame coach in Peyton, is an abomination this year. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we get back, Vegas Matty, he's going to join us, footballcontest.com. He'll join us in studio. We'll give an update on how things are going across town right now. When we get back, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back in. Sports by the Book is the show. South Point Studio is the site. I'm Jeff Parles. Duane Colucci has been here today co-hosting with me. It's always been a blast. Welcome Duane in. And now joining us on the far side of the desk, of course, footballcontest.com, the best proxy service in the business. Our good friend Vegas Matty in studio with us.
How we doing?
It's good to see you. It's
Yep.
It's 117 degrees probably today after we busted a record here in Vegas on Sunday at 120. The hotter weather does mean, in a sick way, we are closer to football season beginning yet again.
No, that's absolutely true. All the contests are open for signups, and we're rocking and rolling. I got to meet 10 people down at Circa right after the show, so things are going strong right now.
So you mentioned the Super Contest over at the Westgate, the more OG contest, as we know, has opened.
Yep.
They opened a little bit later than Circa. That's always how they've operated over there at the Westgate. Just again, a contest that we know has been around for years. Always a good contest, and it is a contest that is a little less inundated than the Million is.
That's
usually
true. Yeah, I mean, Circa Million's kind of taken over, and they had over 5,000 entries last year. Westgate had about 1,100 for the Super Contest, and they came close to 100 for the Super Contest Gold. So I want to give a shout out to one of my clients, Brian Schultz. He gave me this. This is this year's Super Contest shirt, long sleeve, of course, to keep everyone
nice and warm in the 110.
Yeah, the cold casinos, though. You know, the air conditioning. We were just talking about that at the break, but. Brian let me know that he's finished in the top 10 of the Super Contest Gold each of the last 5 years. But as you know, that means nothing.
Nothing.
Because it's a winner-take-all contest. Fortunately, we had the winner last year, Mike Seba, who used to work with Kenny White at Las Vegas Sports Consultants. He went in all in. He was hoping to do the William Hill College Pick'em contest, and they decided not to do that last year. So he's going to do 5 entries in that. When he found out that they weren't doing it, he went all in on the gold. That's the only contest he did, and he ended up winning it. So it was pretty awesome.
That's great, definitely. And these contests have come full circle now, Matty. And it's great to have, a service that you provide, because there's so many people now that are out of state that want to get involved. And you guys do a phenomenal job and very, very impressive. Probably, definitely the best service out there.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I was actually talking to a gentleman outside the Sportsbook before I came in, and he's from California. And he was asking me what I was going to talk about. And I said, hey, the football contests are huge, $1,000 to enter, but that Circa Survivor is $10 million guaranteed. And he's like, whoa, like, does that go through the Super Bowl? And I was like, no, just the regular season.
Could you imagine?
So, yeah, that'd be nuts. Yeah. So I kind of explained, I gave him our card and everything, but it was a good opportunity to kind of just let people know that you could be from out of state just visiting and want to stop by the Sportsbook and sign up. And, we're there every day. So you'll find us. You can reach out to us at footballcontest.com to schedule an appointment, or if you just bump into us, we can sign you up that way too.
So obviously Circa, just talking about the Million and Survivor, we've talked last time you were in, we talked a lot about Survivor since it's such a unique contest in comparison to what's been around through the existence of these contests. Just biggest prize pool ever for both of those again this year. Just what is for you, just how's it progressed so far? At least this summer in comparison to previous summers.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're record-breaking pace for sure for the Survivor. I mean, it's like overlapping. Like they have more than twice as many entries for the Survivor as the Million, I believe. But yeah, I mean, that thing's going to crush it. They're going to have over 10,000 entries easily in that contest, maybe 12,000. You know.
Wow.
So that's something important to keep in mind too. Is that the guarantee is 10 million, but if they get 12,000 entries, it's $12 million that's going back in the pot. They just take the overage and they put it back in the quarters, which is great, and that's what you're going to be playing for. The million, it's a little bit more of a tough proposition because they have to get to 6,000 entries, and Derek the last couple of years has fallen short, so he's had to come out of pocket to pay that overlay out. But I think still they have a good shot to get to the 6,000 entries. It's a lot less than the Survivor, but it's a different contest. It's a pick 5 for people who want to pick against the spread versus doing a Survivor format. And the hard part too with getting to that 6,000 number is that you could sign up 5 times, but we've talked about this before too. There's only so many ways you could slice and dice 5 different picks. You know, where if you have a Survivor, you can max out the 10, maybe give some to some friends that want to buy in and things like that, and then you can pick 10 different teams if you want. But with the pick 5 format, it's kind of like it's difficult to pick 5 teams, a million different ways. The Super Book too. I mean, they have the Super Contest. You can max out at 7 entries.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a few people that did that last year, but by the end they just had given up, and we just put random picks in for them the rest of the way because it's just like it gets frustrating if you're not in it. Even though they have 12 different ways to win, including the overall prize. And that's the cool thing about the Super Contest is you're playing for something every 3 weeks, every 6 weeks, every 9 weeks. So you're never really out of it unless you get off to a bad start in that last 3 weeks.
Well, and that's always just knowing, like, it's at least until these weekly these quarter. I know that's the way Circa does it. These thirds, halves, sixths that Westgate is doing now. It would always, like you said, as long as you don't as long as that first week of those sequences isn't just a total mess,
right? Because
then it's just like, all right, well, we're going for macro as opposed to micro, which those micro payouts are quite nice.
They're
Keeps
awesome.
you all involved.
Yeah, in fact, a couple of years ago, we had a guy who got off to a terrible start in the Super Contest. He was 10-19-1 through the first 30 games, and then he caught fire. And I swear he must have hit like 75% the rest of the way because he ended up cashing over $100,000 in the smaller contests. I think he won like the last 9-week contest, a 6-week contest, and a 3-week contest. So he still ended up winning 6 figures, even though he got off to a 10-19-1 start. That's kind of goes to show that there's always something to play for.
It's full circle now. I'll tell you. I remember when I used to walk in the main entrance of the Sportsbook at the Hilton Westgate, and you'd have about 500 names, maybe, tops, enter these contests. Now it's amazing. And the quarterly prizes keep you definitely motivated. I know because I'm in the bookie battle, the gaming today, and I won that last year. And, you accumulate the cash and the prize money. If you, even if you start bad, if you win a quarter, you're getting some money. So it's great. And, it's good to see these contests come full circle. It keeps everybody interested. But the Survivor now is the fashionable contest, without a doubt.
No doubt. Yeah, when we started out back in 2009, I think it was, there was only about 328 entries in the Super Contest, and then they got up to about 3,500 at their peak, and now you've got the Circa Million, over 5,000 entries, and Circa Survivor had over 9,000 last year. So yeah, it's crazy how many people enter it now.
Matty, I'm going to put you on the spot slightly here real quick because you mentioned it, that we could be exceeding 10,000 entries in Survivor. Last year, we ended up with single digits when it was all said and done. After there was a lot of talk of a chop. Obviously, if we were around the space, we all know what happened with that. Don't need to be naming names. But if we end up with over 10,000, if there's over 10,000, how many do you think would make it to the end at that point? Like if we set the over,
question,
like the over, like thinking in my head, like all right, an extra 1,500 from what it was last year. Maybe you set the number at 8.5, and that still might be high.
I mean, it could hit double digits. The first year they had the Survivor contest, I don't know if you remember, but 35 people ended up at the end.
Well, that was 2020, right?
Yes.
So that was the year that everyone was picking against Jacksonville and the Jets.
Yeah, there was
and
a
then,
lot of
I know the Rams got lost to the Jets in week 15 and knocked out a ton of people. Yeah,
that was the real big one. But yeah, people stayed in that for a long time. But we actually had 13 of those 35 guys at the end, and they each won about $70,000. So that's the thing is it was a much smaller contest at that point, smaller prize pool. Now you're talking about $10 million. I think, there could be upwards of maybe like 10 people that tie at the end. But then again, it could be similar to like last year where there was 4, or maybe like, I think 8 is a good number.
Yeah, it's just so, with the way they've done that contest now, where originally it was, hey, Thanksgiving's the only extra week. Now you have to do the Christmas one now, where that's really difficult because those games on Christmas this year, I forget what the Thursday game is. I'll have to look that, but the Christmas games are
on a Wednesday.
Are on a Wednesday. It's Baltimore-Pittsburgh, which good luck always picking a Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. And it's Kansas City and Houston, who I think have the potential to be the 2 best teams in the AFC.
Right.
I think the Bears are playing on that Thursday night, if memory serves me correctly.
Right.
I forget who their opponent is. But they've done a tremendous job over at Circa with that contest. That contest it's unique. It's fun. Even though I know your odds are still very, very slim to get through into December. But even mentally, it just feels like, hey, it feels
everyone's
more,
got a chance.
Yeah, everyone's got to feel. It feels more manageable to pick 20
and
straight winners, which is ridiculous.
It'll be interesting to see how many people take that first game too, or the first 2 games, because there is a Friday game as well. Because I do believe that Circa is letting you buy back in if you were to lose one of those first 2 games. Say you max out the 10 entries and you lose a couple on that first game, or the Thursday night
game in Brazil,
or the Friday game, then you can buy back up to that 10. I know they don't do a lot of buybacks on that, but it's still the opportunity to kind of push through. I mean, last year, the Lions upsetting the Chiefs right off the bat, that was a nice one to have, but I can't remember if anybody had the Lions in week 1. That would have been pretty ballsy, but you got 2 good games to start the season this year.
Kansas City, Baltimore starts the season on the Thursday night, and then they go to Brazil for the first time ever. Philadelphia losing the home game. They get Green Bay, which honestly, the Brazilians got a good matchup down there with those 2 teams. As always, Matty, just tell everyone where they can find you. I know we could see a lot in the sports books over at Circa and the Westgate over the next few months.
Yeah, odds are you'll find us there. We are going to be at Super Contest Weekend. We're going to have the clubhouse reserved that Friday and Saturday, which is August 16th and 17th. And we'll be there, I think, between like 10 and 3 both days. And then, normally pop over to the Circa in the morning. And but reach out to us, footballcontest.com, if you want to get on our schedule and try to have something a little bit more official. But we're there a lot.
Absolutely. Footballcontest.com, again, the best proxy service in the business. You'll see Vegas Matty with us throughout the summer as well. It's always a pleasure to have you in. Before we get out of here today, Ryan McCormick is here, Punchlines. Frank Nicotero and Ryan McCormick is always the producer of that show. Got a home run hitter. Got a home run hitter today. Well. Oh, okay. Now we're not muted? Okay. Okay, go ahead.
I'm not muted. There we go. Cool.
Wow. Little producer error.
No, I was unmuted. I don't know what was going on there.
All right.
Anyway,
sorry,
we've got a
producer error. I apologize.
We've got a 355 home run hitter in the big leagues. Greg Vaughn joining the show today. We'll be opening up a pack of Topps cards with him, doing a Hump Day homers with him. Alex may be sending one from where she is on vacation. We've also got a bunch of good posts with punchlines talking about the MLB All-Star Game, going over the home run derby, being that Greg Vaughn was also a participant in the home run derby. So tune in at noon. We've got a very fun show coming up.
Of course, Greg Vaughn, a 50 home run hitter back in 1998 with the Padres, and then followed it up with 45. And of course, that great story of being able to get the no facial hair policy removed from the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
Great story on that. Duane, it's always a pleasure, man. It's great to see you here. Well, I know we'll do it again soon at some point.
Definitely.
I know not this Friday, but next Friday we'll have you back on as always. We'll
Sounds
give you
good.
after being here, we'll give you a nice little bye week on Friday this week, Duane. So it's always go visit Duane up at the Rampart, runs the race and Sportsbook up in Summerlin. We're back tomorrow. Adam Rosenberg steps in. He'll be with me for the half-hour show. Of course, Gone Racing goes tomorrow at 10 in the morning. And also, we're back at Big 12 Media Days. So maybe we'll have some content from there as well throughout the afternoon on our social media platforms throughout the day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.